To the latest edition of Read All Over YouTube. I'm Graham Mack, and it's great to have John Pearman with us once again. This is the YouTube version of the Liverpool fanzine Read All Over the Land, which is now the longest lasting and the only surviving Liverpool fanzine. You've seen him on match days with his famous chant, "Read all over the land, only £2," behind the main stand. John Pearman has been the editor and creator of it. How are you, John?
I'm not too bad, thank you.
You're now a multimedia personality, we hear as well. What's going on there? What's happened to you?
Well, as I say, I was actually walking through Tesco last week, minding my own business, looking at the fruit, thinking whether I should buy another bottle of port after Christmas, and I got stopped. And somebody came up and said, "You're John," which I knew. And he said, "I've seen you on YouTube. And you're the editor of the fanzine." I said, that's right. And so, the first time I've ever been approached in Tesco in Chester, I think the first time I've ever been approached in Tesco anywhere. But
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony Welsh, and who lives in Chester. And I hope to see you the next time I'm in the shop.
That's nice. So Tony Welsh will, if he's watching right now, which if he doesn't miss one, he will. Hi, Tony, and look at that. You've changed John's life. You've made a difference. He's got a story to tell everybody that he's been recognised in Tesco because of his fame of Read All Over YouTube. That's great. All right. Now, we're also trying something. We're live on X tonight. If you're watching on X, make sure you go on the comments and say, "I found you on X." It's the first time we've done it on X, formerly Twitter. So we're on YouTube and X, although we're Read All Over YouTube. If we go on any more platforms, we'll probably have to change the name. But anyway, that's something brave tonight. Also, we've got a first-timer, a guest, Stephen F. Kelly. It's great to meet you. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Good to see you guys.
Yeah,
put a face when I listen. You know, it's nice to see a face.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you on. Stephen, actually, we'll start with you. Stephen grew up in Birkenhead. He's a broadcaster, journalist, best-selling author. He's written more than 25 books, a lot of them about Liverpool Football Club. He became a full-time writer after he left Granada TV in 1988, where he'd been a producer on programmes including World in Action. He's an honorary visiting professor in journalism at the University of Chester and a visiting professor of history at the Manchester Metropolitan University. Stephen F. Kelly, welcome to Read All Over the YouTube. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to this.
Tell us about how you became a Liverpool fan.
Oh dear. Well, it's a bit of a long story. I guess, yeah, I was born in Birkenhead. So, I mean, initially, you know, when I was a kid, my dad used to take me to Tranmere Rovers because it wasn't far away. We could almost walk there. But, you know, like any kid of 11 years, 10, 11 years of age, you wanted to see the big teams. And I'm afraid going to see Liverpool in the mid-50s, you were not really going to see big teams. You were going to see the likes of, I don't know, Cardiff City or Leyton Orient. I'm afraid you went to Everton. You went to Goodison. Because, you know, as a kid, you wanted to see Danny Blanchflower and John Charles and players like that. So my dad had us, he quite liked Everton because my dad was a big pal of Bill Dean, Dixie Dean.
Wow.
And who used to come to our house on occasion. So, you know, my dad took me to, I remember the very first big game I went to, which was actually Everton against the Czechoslovakian side called Baník Ostrava. It was one of those friendly games that they played in the mid-50s, played on a Saturday afternoon when Everton typically had been knocked out of the FA Cup. So they had one of those Saturday afternoons when it was the fourth round or fifth round. So I went to see Baník Ostrava. And then a few days later, I went to see Manchester United playing Everton because it was the Busby Babes. So I went to see the Busby Babes playing. It was getting on for a year before the crash. So they were my first big games that I went to. My dad then took me to see Liverpool playing, I think it was Sunderland, in about 1959, second division game. And I think we went on the Kop. My dad wasn't very tall and he didn't like going on the Kop at all because, you know, big crowd. He didn't see very much, didn't like it very much. So he was a bit reluctant, but he I think that was the first game I went to. But I also used to go to see Huddersfield Town. I had a fairly strong connection to Huddersfield because my mum came from there. So I'd go and see Huddersfield Town playing. I'd go with my granddad. He'd take me to see Huddersfield, who also were in the second division. But they didn't have kind of crowds that you got at Anfield. So I was going to see Huddersfield. And then the other story is that Bill Shankly lived next door to my Uncle Horace and Auntie Gertie in Huddersfield. And I would go to see, if I was up in Huddersfield, I'd go to see Uncle Horace with my granddad and my dad on Sunday morning. We'd walk down there before returning home. We used to leave the women to make the Sunday lunch. So we're going to see Uncle Horace, and living next door to Uncle Horace, who was none other than Bill Shankly. So I'd see Shanks in the garden. And I wrote about this in a bit of a novel I did. And I'd see Shanks in the garden, and he used to go and pull the weeds up when Huddersfield had lost. One of the things he used to do was to go in the garden and pretend to be doing some gardening. But in fact, he wasn't. He was just a fairly angry man pulling up weeds. And his wife Ness used to complain that he didn't know a flower from, he didn't know a daffodil from a dandelion. So poor old Shanks we'd see him, and I'd kind of wave to him, hello. And he got me the autographs of the Huddersfield Town team at one point. So roll on then to 1959, and Shankly is appointed manager of Liverpool. And suddenly that's interesting. Yeah, I think I might start going to see Liverpool. So the season, I really started going the season they won the second division title. So that's 62, 61, 62. So I started going that season. That's when I became captivated by it all, and have been going there ever since.
Do you have a favourite game you've been at?
Oh, 3 favourite games.
Okay.
Milan, 1965. And anybody who was there will tell you that one. I'm not going to say that's my all-time favourite. The Saint Etienne game.
Yeah.
I can't remember what year that was.
77.
77. And then, of course, the Barcelona game the other year. I mean, that was just an astonishing game. Utterly astonishing. I mean, you're never going to beat Barcelona 4-0. I mean, it's impossible. The Barcelona of Messi, Xavi, and so on. Absolutely impossible. And they beat them 4-0. I mean, it was just astonishing. And my most vivid memory of that game is at the end when the players came down to the Kop, and they were all arms around each other, and we all sang "You'll Never Walk Alone" together. And then they turned around, and nobody had left the ground, and they went off down towards the tunnel, and they put on the tannoy John Lennon, "Imagine." And you think of the word, and it's a very sentimental song. Yeah. And suddenly, I looked around, and my son, who is 6'2" or whatever, and 30 years of age, whatever he was then, he's got tears running down his face. I've got tears running down my face. I turn around, and all the guys, all the big hard scousers behind me, everybody is in tears. It was just one of those astonishing.
It was a masterstroke on behalf of George Sefton, the ground announcer.
Absolutely. It was a wonderful song, and it was just a great shared sentimentality.
Yeah, and one of the stars of that game, we're finding out, John, is out now as well, Trent.
Yeah, Trent missing tomorrow night and for the next few weeks. Thankfully, there's not a lot of football between now and the end of January, but he'll probably miss at least a couple of crucial games. Every game's crucial, and Trent is a little bit like Steven Gerrard. He can't actually find like for like. It's one of those things. You can replace a left back with a left back, but you can't really replace Trent because this new position that he seems to have. I mean, I still don't know. Sometimes you're looking at the game, we're supposed to be defending, and Trent's playing on the left wing, and and he's a furthest player forward. But that's the way it goes, and it's been in absolutely brilliant form of late. I still think had that shot gone in against Newcastle, it wouldn't have been the goal of the wouldn't have been goal of the day, goal of the week, goal of any. It'd been goal of the century, and there's still 75 years and a bit more to go of this century. It would have fitted in somewhere. fantastic. But yeah, but um, it's his misfortune. It could be a chance for somebody else to come in and step up to the mark. We don't know. We don't.
Who would you
second guess
replace him
the
with,
owners.
Stephen?
I mean, that is a really difficult one. I mean, John is absolutely right. You can't replace Trent because of that midfield role he can play in, and you can't expect any old right back to go bombing down the wing. I think I'd give Conor Bradley a chance.
Yeah, you like him, don't you, John?
Yeah, I think he's done very well, and you know I watched him. I think it was last season. He was out on loan and he was doing well. When I say watch him, I keep track of how they're doing. Yeah, so yeah, he's one option, and we shall see. But you know, as I say, chance for somebody else to take up the reins. He won't be asked to play like Trent because you can't. But you know, few months ago, Joe Gomez wasn't considered by a lot of fans as a person who you could rely on. Now, most people will say, "Well, if Gomez isn't playing, we've got a problem." You know, so it's changed the whole attitude of people. So we shall see.
Okay. Now, Stephen, you've written biographies. You mentioned Shankly. You've done a biography of Shankly. You've done one of Kenny. You've done Gerard Houllier. All different people. Do they have anything in common?
That's an interesting question. I've never been asked that question before. Apart from an undying love of Liverpool, and I mean very, very genuine love of Liverpool, they weren't managers who just came in, did a bit of a job and disappeared and went off to other clubs. They were all very, very strongly Liverpool players, and in a way had all come through the system. Well, I mean, obviously Dalglish and Souness, they did Souness as well. They came through the system.
I'm going to ask you about him in a second.
No, I don't know that. I mean, apart from this undying love of Liverpool, unquestioning love of Liverpool, I don't really think there was a great deal else.
Okay. Well, all right. I mean, let's what's that?
No. I was going to say. I mean, you can't even say, well, they were all great players because Houllier wasn't.
No.
Houllier didn't really have a football career.
Okay, Graham Souness then. When he took over at Liverpool, he was standing on the shoulders of giants, wasn't he? How did he get it so wrong?
I think he tried to change everything too quickly, which is what he'd done at Rangers. I mean, at Rangers, he'd done this remarkable job of changing things. He brought in the first Catholic players. He brought in English players. They'd never signed English players before. And he went out and he bought the England goalkeeper, or Terry Butcher. You know, I mean, that's never happened before. What are these England internationals going off to play for Rangers? But he did that, and he introduced the first Catholic players. He changed training routines and so on. And when he came to Liverpool, he tried to do the same. And I think there was a strong resistance to that within the club. He also got blamed for things which weren't his responsibility. He got blamed for they said, oh, he knocked the boot room down. It wasn't anything really to do with Souness. That was to do with UEFA, because Liverpool were going to have the Euros, and they had to have a media room, and that was the only place they could go. So they had to have a complete restructure under the stand. So it was a bit unfair to blame him for that. But he also introduced things like he stopped that when the tradition was that you trained at Melwood, and then you all jumped back on the bus and you went back to Anfield and you had a shower or bath or whatever they did, and then you had something to eat there. He changed that and tried to do everything at Melwood, tried to expand Melwood so that everything happened there. And there wasn't that. And a lot of players said, oh, it used to be great fun coming back from Melwood on the bus. It was only a short journey, say 5-10 minutes. But they all said they had a bit of a laugh coming back. And he changed that, but I don't think these things really had an impact. Yeah, he also changed the dietary, made them all start eating pasta, which he'd done when he played for Sampdoria in Italy. He made them seriously consider what the diet was. He brought dietitians in as well. But Yeah, I just think he tried to change things too much, and it didn't work.
And too
And I don't
quick.
think he knew what to do. Too quick, yeah.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
John, where do you see him, as a hero or a villain? I mean, as a player, maybe a hero, yeah. I mean, he was a great player.
If you're measuring Souness's talents as a player, again, we use that word. You can't replace him.
No.
I would say that as a captain, he might have been just the best captain Liverpool have had in my lifetime, because you didn't mess with him. That was a fact. You didn't mess with the likes of Tommy Smith, but Graham Souness was somewhat different. You didn't mess with Souness, and when he walked onto the pitch at the start of the game, when he led the team out, there was an arrogance about him, and you knew that it wasn't. He just got this feeling that this is our pitch. This is it. We're here. They're not going to have anything to do with us. They're going to be swept aside. Yeah, it got an arrogance that was incredible. But it wasn't an arrogance of.
Yeah, he didn't just look like Jose Hughes.
Yeah, it just got it. And you looked at his legs and his thighs and all that. You just think, bloody hell, you don't want that to kick me. It's it got something about him, and all right. The managerial side, I agree with what Stephen said. He and a lot of other people have said he did try to change things too quickly, and had he sat back and waited, but then again, had the club given him maybe Roy Evans to work alongside him from the off and things like that, and stand by him and say, look, no, don't do that. Lean on him a little bit. Maybe things would have been different. I don't know. But we should also remember at that time, Arsenal were a very, very good side. George Graham had got things going there. It was a relatively new Arsenal team. And Manchester United were beginning to come through under Ferguson. So had people like Kenny stayed, I don't know whether we'd have still needed to have changed things. There's always a new kid on the block in football, isn't there? Now it's Manchester City. Who'd have thought 15 years ago that the noisy neighbours would now be casting a shadow over Manchester United? But so things do change. But I think Graham tried to change it a little bit too quickly. But whether he was sort of whether he should have been controlled a little bit more, I don't know, because I don't know how the club was run back then. But David Moores was the chairman, and he didn't interfere with anybody, did he? He was happy to see things going along day by day, week by week, year by year. So, but that was the way it was.
Stephen, you've been a fan since the 1950s. You've written extensively about the club. How does the current Liverpool side compare?
I think very well, very highly. I think the side that won the league recently and the other year was almost as good as any Liverpool side. I mean, the only thing I would say is that, when I supported them in the 70s and 80s, you just knew they were going to win, particularly in the 80s. I mean, there are too many heart-stopping moments these days, like the other day, like Sunday. But I think they are an extremely good side, and I think the current side, I've been saying all season, they're not quite the real deal yet. They're almost there, and I felt in the last two games against Newcastle and against Arsenal that they are there now. I think they are a really, really good side now.
Okay,
let's start. I mean, there are so many youngsters.
Let's talk about those games now. Then let's talk about. We'll start with the Newcastle game. John, that was what was that the one where you nearly got soaked, or was that the Arsenal game? Which one was that one?
No, that was the one when I not nearly got soaked. I did get soaked.
Okay, this is the Newcastle game. Okay, so you're selling the fanzines behind the main stand, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually given shelter by one of the stewards. He said, "Go and stand here," and it was actually in the doorway to the faith room.
Right.
So divine intervention in that respect. But it was it was a performance on the pitch that was very, very odd, because I said to the guy, I was on row 58 of the cop, and you actually do get a good view up there of how the game's going, although it's you're watching them come towards you and all that. And I said to him, "Do you know?" I said, "We've hit these with everything. I can't see us scoring. It's just got that smell of Manchester United all over it again. We just can't seem to score." And he said, "I'm thinking the same." And then the second half, of course, we did score after, what was it, 4 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
changed the whole dynamic of the game, because Newcastle then had to come forward a little bit, and they did, and they scored. It was a bad goal to concede. We talk about Trent, but Trent had gone walkabout at that when they scored. Um, but the team, it didn't look as, oh damn it, we've got to start again. They just went at Newcastle, and what they were doing, some of the football they were playing was incredible. And I don't know whether it was a farewell gift whilst he's in the AFCON Cup, but Mo Salah was like it was like a different man. I
He
mean,
just seemed to want it really badly, didn't he?
it was
Yeah.
it was unreal. I mean, I've seen Mo Salah have some sensational games, but I would struggle to say in that, maybe that last half an hour. I can't say I've ever seen him play better. It was just unreal, incredible stuff, and it wasn't just the goal scoring. We know he missed the early penalty. Goalkeeper made a save. The goalkeeper was he'd been in that faith room, I think, as well, because I mean, what he was pulling off that night, it was abnormal. But I mean, even if he wasn't making a save, the ball was hitting him. But then, Salah just was sensational, and the whole team was. It just incredible, really was.
Stephen, your thoughts on the Newcastle game?
Well, I agree with everything John has said. I thought Salah he was prepared to take players on, which I felt a lot this season. He hasn't been prepared to do that. He's been standing off players, or pushing the ball back, cutting inside, not actually going for the byline and taking the defender on. And I thought he did that against Newcastle, and he was a revelation. He had a terrific game. He was very, very good. No, I mean, yeah, in the second half, I thought Liverpool were terrific, and really, I mean, it could have been 6, 7, 8 goals. I had lunch with Duncan Hamilton. I don't know whether you know heard of Duncan Hamilton, sports writer. Has won the William Hill Football Prize 3 times. Really, really good writer, but a big Newcastle fan. And I had lunch with him the other day, and he said to me, he thought Liverpool could have had 10 goals. He really thought that Liverpool was superb, and they were. They were terrific.
And then good again against Arsenal as well in the FA Cup. Goodness
But
me.
just going back to the Newcastle game, had the Diaz goal counted or the Mo penalty gone in, Newcastle would have had to have come forward a little bit earlier. And I think had that happened, then I don't know how many we could have scored. But it would have been a hell of a beating, and that's to me it was how it was. But I think a lot of Newcastle fans, actually, the ones that see things that not looking through tinted glasses or anything, they've said the same. Yeah, it was an amazing performance.
Yeah. Okay, the Arsenal game then. Who wants to talk about that first? Stephen, start with you. What did you make of that?
Well, I was very pessimistic, and I talked to my son beforehand. I said, which is what we do every game. What's your prediction? He said, I think we're going to lose 3-0, which is very unusual for him. He's always more optimistic than I am. I didn't think we were going to get anything from it right from the start. And the first 20 minutes, I was almost covering my eyes, thinking, God, Lord, they're going to get slaughtered here. But, it was... And to be honest, I mean, Arsenal should have won that game. I mean, they should have had it all wrapped up
In the first
in
half.
in the first half. You know, I mean, let's not kid ourselves about that. But they played quite well. They played very well in that first half, in that first 20 minutes, and we seemed to be all at sea in defence. They were pressing as well, Arsenal, and we weren't able to get the ball out of defence. We couldn't get it from the keeper to the backs to the central defenders, and we seemed to be struggling as they pressed against us. And I mean, at times Alisson was having to go long, which I don't mind Alisson kicking the ball long at times, because I think it gives the people like Nunes and Salah the chance to run at that ball, to run at it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, as the game wore on, you got that feeling. You know, remember that it's a bit like the cup final against Arsenal.
Yeah,
the Michael Owen.
The Michael Owen final, right, in Cardiff, yeah.
We got battered in that game, and Arsenal should have had that all sewn up. And the longer the game went on, you got this feeling we're going to get one chance here or two chances, and we're going to sneak it. And it often happens in football. I've seen it happen far too many times. And as that Arsenal game went on, I kept thinking, yeah, you know, if we can get it, you never know. They're going to rue these misses that they've had, Arsenal. But I thought Liverpool. The word I would use is grit. I thought they were very, very gritty. There was a determination there, and I thought there were some tremendous performances.
John, really do you think we had it in us to win at half time?
Okay,
honestly?
Going back to when the draw was made, we weren't actually playing that well. We'd struggled in a few games, and you may remember the old advert. Because somebody said to me, "Oh, we've got Arsenal away in the cup," and I said, "Well, we'll send the suits back."
Send the suits back.
Yeah, and I thought,
was it John Collier the advert before?
When I watched the game, again yesterday, and I just thought one of my the people who I often think about when I'm watching any sport is Muhammad Ali, and to me that was rope-a-dope. We took everything. Everything they'd got, and then they said, we just turned round to them and said, "Is that the best you've got? Now take this." And that was it. It was bang, 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 and that was how the Ali Foreman fight ended, wasn't it? It took all that and said, right now here, and that was it. But when there's an own goal. You look at an own goal and you say, that's luck or misfortune for the guy who scored it. That ball in from Trent, we're talking about him again, you can't defend that. If you go back to the McAllister goal in the 2001 game against Alaves, he whipped that ball in, the guy put it into his own net because he couldn't do anything else. And that was how it was with that. You can't turn around and say he should have done this or should have done that. You can't. He couldn't have headed the ball away. He couldn't have headed the ball up anywhere. It went off his head and into the net. And it sent me into raptures and all those fans that were there. The icing on the cake, of course, was Diaz in the last seconds.
Yeah.
But what I did like about when the first goal went in was the celebration, and some fan had encroached slightly, wearing a hat, and I think it was Nunes was banging him on the head, and then took his hat off and threw it into the crowd. So it was a great performance, and Arsenal could have. It was like the Newcastle game. We could have been out of sight after 20 minutes. So could Arsenal. But this team fights. Had Arsenal scored, who knows what we would have done. But I do believe at half time, Jurgen had seen enough and he tweaked things, he changed things, and that was it. You mentioned going long. I noticed in the second half that Alisson's goal kicks were, like you said, going into the other half of the field. And that was causing Arsenal problems. But going back, I think it was last year, we played Spurs away, and we were doing the same thing. We were hitting the ball long. It was a couple of years back. We were hitting the ball long, and the idea was for Nunes to try and create a bit of mayhem. Nunes is a player who divides opinion, but I think to myself is an essential part of this Liverpool setup because if he wasn't seen as viewed as a goal scorer and it was viewed as, shall we say, a midfield player, people would be raving about him because he causes mayhem and he creates goals. He helps set up goals. It's the chaos he causes that gives us goals.
Yeah, he is. Some Liverpool fans are still not sure about him. Where are you on him, Stephen? On Nunes?
I'm becoming more sure of him. I just do wish he would add a couple more goals to his tally.
Yeah.
But he is a nuisance player, and I think Alan Shearer noticed this and said, "I wouldn't like to be up against him. He does cause problems for defenders. He's all over the place. He's fast. He's very strong. He's capable of holding the ball as well, and he's a very dangerous player. I'll be happier if he can score just a few more goals, though." But
he links up well with Salah as well, which you don't notice so much, but he does link up very well with Salah. They get on really well together in football-wise, yeah.
I think he'll get there. I mean, he's only young. What is he now, 21, 22?
Yeah, well, we've got some very young. I mean, Kanate, how old's he, John? He's only
I think
young,
he's about 22, 23, isn't he? I mean, he's built like a mountain. And so is Kwanzaa. I mean, 20 years old, and look at him. You can put. I mean, Jurgen sent him on when Virgil got sent off against Newcastle, and he played him in that game, and he didn't look out of place. And I listened to him speak after the game, and the thing that I noticed was how well spoken he was. It's from Warrington, and but that's not saying anything. But he was very well spoken, and he level-headed. They're the things these are things that you want of a player. There's no.
I just want to point out, if anybody is watching from Warrington, John only said that because I grew up in Great Sankey, just outside Warrington. That's why John said it. He was having a go at me, not the people of Warrington. Okay, that's why he said it.
Yeah. Thank you for clearing that up.
All right, thanks, John. Just I don't want I don't want anybody coming up to you in Tesco's and hitting you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I don't shop in Warrington.
Okay.
You'll be all right.
But he is. It's like we've got these players now. I mean, I can go back again 6 months, 9 months, and people say we've got to buy another centre half. Go out there and spend another 30, 40, 50 million, whatever centre halves are costing. And I thought, well, we've got this lad. Let's see what he can do. And the thing about the academy sides, certainly at Liverpool, is there's a lot of players there now. Okay. It's too early to predict their future, but we spoke with Stephen Wright not long ago.
Yeah, that's right.
And previously, John Newby, and they were talking about the quality of players at the academy. And these are the people, you've got to nurture them. The young lad from Leicester who's 16 has been on the bench. Naomi, I think his name is. And he's been on the bench a couple of times. Well, people say they're too young. I suppose when Steven Gerrard was 18, he was featuring in our side. When Wayne Rooney was 17, he was a regular for Everton.
Michael Owen was 17 when he first played for Liverpool, and he was hard to play against then.
Yeah. And we haven't mentioned Gravenberch is only 21.
Right.
Dobberschlei is 22.
Yeah.
We've got Conor Bradley.
And Ben Doak as well.
And Ben Doak. And Bajicic. He's only, 20, 21?
Yeah.
There are a lot of really good youngsters there who I think will make it. I certainly, when I saw, I was really impressed by Bradley on Sunday. I thought he really looked apart.
Yeah.
And he didn't seem frightened. He didn't seem worried to try and take on a defender. And he's quite impressive,
Yeah.
And I have somebody who follows Bolton Wanderers, and he talked highly of Bradley when he was there last season. So really put in a shift, looked a really class player.
Yeah. Well, 15 minutes to go, and he brings on Bradley and Bobby Clark, Nobby Clark or whatever, Bobby Clark. He brings those two on, who are rookies. They helped change the course of the game. But John, be honest, how were you feeling with 15 minutes to go, with the stakes so high, and we've only got a 1-goal cushion? What were you thinking when Jurgen made that decision?
We hadn't got a 1-goal cushion. It was 0-0.
Oh, it
when
was.
they
It
came.
was. No, you're right. I'm sorry. It was 0-0 when he brought him on. Yeah.
I actually thought this is either very brave or very reckless. But as I said previously, you can't second guess what Jurgen's going to do, because he made that decision, and again they helped change the game. They helped in that last 15 minutes. Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott were taken off, and they're players that's 20 and 22.
Yeah, another two. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Harvey looked absolutely sick to be going off, but the manager had obviously seen things. But we talk about Conor Bradley. There was one, I think it was still 1-0 at the time. And the Arsenal winger, or the Arsenal wide man, was trying to...
Martinelli.
Yeah, trying to take him on and all that. And he stood there, and all he did was basically, come on. You're not going to get past me. I think the ball went out for a corner, and then the next time he did it, it was cleared. So, yeah, he wasn't fazed by it. And, the Emirates Stadium now is a bit different to what it was 5 years ago, because the crowd actually now make a noise. Yeah. And there was like 50,000 North Londoners howling, and Conor Bradley never flinched.
Yeah.
Never flinched.
No.
And that's the thing. Yeah. As for Bobby Clark, well, I mean, he comes from a footballing family up in Newcastle. And I saw him play, I think it was in the summer when they were on tour, and I just thought there's something there. You can tell. And he hasn't, the thing is, he got injured, so he's not been playing a lot of football in the under-21s. Ben Doak now is injured, so he's not going to be playing much football this season. But the young Cade Gordon, he's got to stop playing in the under-21s to get some more match practice to get him up to the level that we need. But these are all young players, all under an age of 20, 21. And I would like, it's not going to happen, but I would love to see our under-21 side actually include everybody they could include, and just to see what they're actually like.
What you mean? What, like the players on loan and stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
All the under-21 players that we've actually got, and just put them in, and that includes Harvey Elliott and people like that. Just put them out there. All of them are fit, and just see what sort of a side we've got. I think it'd surprise a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're at home in the next round to Norwich City or Bristol Rovers. What are your feelings on that? Starting with you, Stephen.
It could have been a lot worse. No, I mean that's I was dreading. I thought, God, we're going to get City away now. No, it was a pleasant surprise. No, I'm very pleased. Yeah. No, I think.
And you found an omen in it, haven't you, John?
Yes, I'm not one for stats or things like that. But the last time we played Bristol Rovers in the FA Cup, we knocked them out. It took us 2 games. We knocked them out in a replay at their ground, and went on to win the cup. The last time we played Norwich was a couple of years ago, and we went on to win the cup. So that's doing what. That's what. LFC TV are probably going to tell you that for the next 4 weeks. So
they do like that. Yeah, they do like that kind of thing. All right. Now, lately on this show, we've been talking about a lack of atmosphere at Anfield. Now, after the Newcastle game, can we shut up about that? Is it fixed?
Yeah. I mean, it's not the first time that there had been a lack of atmosphere. I mean, back in the 80s, there was complacency. And there wasn't much atmosphere at all at times on the Kop. It was fairly quiet. The game Jurgen complained about, was that the Fulham game?
It was the
It was
one
after,
before the
it
new.
was after the Fulham game, yeah. No, it was
Yeah.
after the
Yeah.
West Ham game.
It was West
yeah,
Ham.
it
Yeah.
didn't seem to me to be all that bad. But yes, certainly with the Newcastle game, the crowd was back there, and it was very noisy and very fervent. Yeah, I felt yeah, I think a bit of a kick up the backside from Jurgen. I think it's done us all good.
Yeah. What about you, John? Is it back?
Well, he was certainly against Newcastle and against Arsenal. The thing is against Newcastle, the referee made some strange decisions, and Liverpool fans do not like Anthony Taylor. And I think when he made a couple of decisions, that got the crowd going, and the crowd never shut up. They were having a go at him more than they were having a go at anybody as anybody else. They were really giving him the verbals, yeah. So don't wind the crowd up. That's what Mikel Arteta said last year. We poked the bear, and that was it. The Anfield was alive. So but
Yeah.
the thing is, we'll see tomorrow night. We need noise tomorrow night. It's a semi-final. We need noise.
Yeah.
We need
Yeah.
noise.
The one thing that I like about Anfield, and I haven't been to many other places, but a mate of mine has a season ticket at Watford, and he takes me there occasionally. In fact, I went to watch Watford versus Stoke the other night because it's not far from here, and the way the Watford fans get stuck into the team, I don't hear it at Anfield. I mean, the first time I went, it was actually the Liverpool game. Was the first time I went to Watford, and it was Watford versus Liverpool, season before last, or was it last season? Anyway, when did Watford go down? Was it in the last season, or was it the one before that?
2 years ago when we won 5-0.
That's the one. That's the one I was at. But Watford player goes down, and the bloke next to me just goes, "Get up, you tart!" I mean, you don't get it like that at Anfield. You get the referee will get that kind of grief, but
Definitely.
It just seems that Liverpool fans do seem to get behind the team better than certainly than at Watford. All right, let's talk about the Fulham game tomorrow night. How do you see this one going, Stephen?
I think we'll be all right, but I think it's tricky. I don't think we can be complacent. I'm sure they won't be complacent, but I don't think we can go there thinking we're going to win 5-6-0 or anything. I think it'll be tricky because Fulham have got nothing to lose. They'll put out a good side, and I'm sure Jurgen will be looking to play some of the youngsters we've already mentioned tonight. So I think, when we get down to Craven Cottage, it'll be tough as well. So I think we need 2-goal cushion to take to Fulham.
Okay, to take away. Yeah, John.
I think Jurgen will pick his strongest team available, apart from the goalkeeper, because they're all going on holiday on Thursday. So he can pick a strong side and and see what happens. However, we've got a lot of players missing with injury, and that's the thing. Fulham, like Stephen said, have got nothing to lose. They can come to Anfield, and they played very, very well when they came to Anfield for that league game. And we were very fortunate to win 4-3 because after 85 minutes, they played as well as any other side that's been to Anfield this year.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they did.
Yeah, this season. Yeah, so but it's over 2 legs, and that's the other thing. So maybe we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen in these continental cups. Whether Mo might be back or Endo might be back, but when you go back, was it 2 years ago when they had the AFCON? We lost more than we lost.
Mane.
That was Mane. We lost Keita.
And we had some great results during that time as well.
Yeah,
We did.
and other players were scoring the goals. Yeah, so as I said earlier, chance for somebody to step up to the mark.
Yeah.
That's how it is. There was a time when Trent made his debut against Tottenham in the League Cup, and he hasn't done too badly. all these players they've all had to start somewhere. So maybe tomorrow night, it's the chance for somebody else to make a name for themselves, maybe make a start.
Okay, looking further ahead towards the end of January, how do you see that panning out? Because we're in such a position now. I mean, top of the league and in all the cups. How do you see January panning out?
Well,
we've got a bit of a break
football
now, haven't they? What have we got? We've got Bournemouth
Away, which could be
and
tricky.
yeah. Do those sides can always
Chelsea at home.
Chelsea.
We've got
All right.
Fulham, but we've got Bournemouth, Fulham in the cup. We've got the other cup game against Norwich or Bristol Rovers, and then we've got Chelsea, and that's going to be followed by another trip to the Emirates against Arsenal. So yeah, it won't determine our season, but it'll. The next few weeks will give us a pointer. I said that, mind you, in December when I looked at the Christmas fixtures. We've got Manchester United, Arsenal, Newcastle, and Burnley.
Yeah.
That's no gimme, is it? But yeah, we didn't do too bad. The game I thought we would win, we didn't.
Yep.
That Man United. So yeah. But we shall see.
Okay, the big question for both of
Shankly
you.
would have said, just take it.
What would Shankly said?
I was going to say, Shankly would have said, just take it a game.
One game
Think
at
of
a
the next
time.
game. Don't think of anything beyond that.
Well, the thing we are starting to think about now, top of the league at Christmas,
next
top
game.
of the league, yeah. Can we go all the way this season, Stephen?
Yeah, at the start of the season, I would have said probably not. But I'm optimistic now. I think they could do it. I think they could. It's obviously going to be a case of whether. I'm not worried about Aston Villa because I don't think they've got the resources to keep going. I'm not worried about Tottenham for the same reasons to some extent. I'm obviously worried about City because City are a good side and they've got the resources. They've got the squad. But yeah, if we can beat City at Anfield, and City have got some tough games coming up. I think they've got Arsenal away, haven't they? And they've got us
No,
away.
they've played Arsenal away. They've got them at home. The thing is, everybody is like starting the second half of the season now, and we've got a 2-point cushion if Man City win their game against Brentford. So yeah, the thing I look at City is, and this is what they've done in the past. They could go on a 15-game run and win them all. Yeah, that's the difference. And if they wake up tomorrow morning and they think they're a man short, they can go out and spend another 50, 60 million on somebody. I don't know whether they will. I don't think they will. But yeah,
They would.
Arsenal are still in there. You can't write them off because they've had a bad month. They can all of a sudden have another good month. They play some lovely football. It's they're a pleasure to watch at time when the football they play. And if they start scoring, I mean, I actually think our forwards have been a goal shy lately. But look at them, but we keep on we keep on winning. But yeah, so who knows? But I think City. If you finish above City, you win the league.
We'll win it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, John, let's talk about some live events with Red All Over the Land, which is, as well as doing YouTube, you've expanded the fanzine now. You're doing live events. We had the Kevin Keegan one was the last one we did, and he was brilliant. And we had Phil Thompson before that, and Aldo and Steve McMahon before that. What have you got on the horizon? Can you tell us anything about the next live events that you will be bringing to the readers of Red All Over the Land?
Well, the next live event, I'm starting to think about it. I'm drawing up a list of people who we can try and attract. Obviously, there's a budget that we can't go too high. Keegan cost us a lot of money, but the people on the night responded in kind, and we raised £4,000 for the community. So I'm meeting next week. I've got 2 meetings next week. One with somebody who can put some names for me on the table, and maybe some costs, and then I'm going to meet with the Hotel Anfield to see what they've got, what they want to do. They've asked me to go over and have a chat about things. So there will be things, but I I think without giving anything away, I think this year we should be looking at celebrating Joe Fagan's treble. I call it the forgotten treble because people talk about what Man City have done, Manchester United, their treble, even our own. But who was the first guy to go out there and win a treble? Smoking Joe. That was it.
Okay.
And we
And
shouldn't
there's
forget.
also can we mention the link with the fours? Do you want to do that yet, or is that going to be secret yet? I don't want to give too much away.
This might sound a bit silly, but in 1954 Liverpool got relegated, so we won't celebrate that. But you don't know what that changed. In 1964, Shankly won his first title, and it was around this time that the Kop became almost as famous as the Beatles nationwide.
Thanks to Panorama.
Because,
Yeah.
well, not just Panorama, but there was the old occasional sports program on a Saturday night. Stephen will remember it, I'm sure, the sports news reel or whatever it was called. You get a couple of games on, you get 10 minutes of Kenneth Wolstenholme and probably Wally Barnes as commentators. No pundits, no debates, no action replays, just the game. And when at Anfield, they always seem to mention the Kop. And so I would say this is the anniversary of the birth of the modern Kop.
Yeah.
For me, it was 62. I remember in 62, the chanting started.
Yes.
It started at Everton as well. They'd started chanting Everton, Everton. And then at Anfield, they were chanting Liverpool, Liverpool. And the St. John chant began that year as well. And then I think when You'll Never Walk Alone, when Jerry Morrison, the Pacemakers, released that disc, then that song was taken up then. And that's when it all that singing really took off.
Going back to 62, apparently the first chanting of Liverpool was against Manchester City for a night game, and on a Wednesday night, and Liverpool had made a bit of a iffy start to the new season because as a newly promoted team, but the crowd started chanting, and Liverpool won that game 4-1. But yeah, the St. John chant from the Rooters, "Let's Go." We all know about Jerry and but the Beatles, of course, the singing along and all that in the crowd with the crowd. So, but it was 64 when the Panorama program focused on them, and you'd never seen a football crowd like that. The guy on the TV mentioned the rugby choirs, but this was something different, and that was it. So, but as I say, in 1974, Shankly won his last trophy. Trophies because we also won the Charity Shield, which was one of Kevin Keegan's least memorable moments, getting sent off.
Yeah, Billy Bremner showed his bum.
Billy Bremner, yeah.
And in '84, it was the Fagan treble. So, and then of course in '94, as Stephen put a book together compiled by a lot of views of fans, there was The Last Day of the Kop. That was the last standing Kop. Although the Kop now is standing again, and as they're bringing the rail seating, it'll be once again a sort of standing area. So yeah, but they're the things, and I think we should that thing. I don't know.
That will be the theme of a live event, will it, John? Those years, all leap years as well, which this year is, and it's another 4. Yeah.
See, I'd call it like Some Other Guys. I think, as I mentioned to you, Graham, which was a record that was around in the 1963 by one of the Cavern Bands groups. Don't call them bands then, did we?
The Big Three.
Yeah.
So yeah, Some Other Guys, and there's people out there who played a massive part in Liverpool's history, both on and off the pitch. and we should be celebrating that era.
Yeah. Oh well, that could be a good one
You know,
coming up.
we're all of a certain age, so there's not too many can remember all those great days in the '60s now. And like you, Stephen, I was at the FA Cup final in 1965, and that changed the way fans behaved at cup finals, because up until then it was all
Yes,
a bit.
it did. Yeah,
All a bit,
yeah.
wave your song sheets and all the rest of it. It
Mm.
was very, very formal, and Liverpool fans changed that.
Yeah, yeah, no, they did.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the one game we mentioned before about the Inter Milan game, that was the one game that actually really, really made me love Liverpool Football Club, because the atmosphere that night, the singing and the chanting was just phenomenal. I mean, it really got to me. I just loved it. It was theatre.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And the singing of "Go Back to Italy," into 1, 2, 3, and it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, you didn't get a little pocket of fans singing it. You had probably 45,000 singing it in the end. It's just incredible. And I think it was Kenneth Wolstenholme who was commentating on it. And I think the Inter coach Herrera, he went and stood behind the bench. They didn't have dugouts like we've got now, but he went and almost hid because he was frightened of what was going on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And Phil Thompson, it was his first game. He persuaded his mum to take it. They sat in the old Kemlyn Road stand, and he was completely captivated by it all. Made him into a lifelong Liverpool fan. Little did he know that one day he'd be playing.
Yeah, and be captain and lift the European Cup. I mean, wow, what a story.
People, I do know this as a fact, because I know people who actually went up to Anfield on a match day, not to watch the game, to watch the Cop.
Yeah,
Wow.
This was in the '60s. They actually, lads who I work with, they actually went up to Anfield to watch the Cop. They just wanted to go and see it. These were lads who'd come up to work in the Midlands from places like London, or they'd come down from the north, and they just wanted to go and see the Cop.
Yeah. Well, I lived in London between 1968 and 78, and I used to bring my flatmates up, and we'd walk up. Remember the old steps outside? There were about 120 steps outside, all the way up to the top of the Cop. And I used to say to them, all right, when we get, because they all wanted to go on the Cop, so we'd get to the sort of, but about 4 steps to go, and I'd say, right, now close your eyes, and we'll walk up the last 4 steps, and then open them when we get to the top, and you'd open your eyes and you'd see this great Cop below you. I mean, it was an amazing sight, and they just loved being on the Cop. That's what one of them supported Tottenham, another one supported Arsenal, but they wanted to come and stand on the Cop.
Yeah. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing.
That's how it was. That's how it was viewed. So yeah, the idea is to try and celebrate. I think you mentioned it to me off air, Graham. The leap years. Yeah, all leap years, and this is a leap year. Okay, so that's something to look forward to. So guests still to be announced for that one. You mentioned how you handed over £4,000 to Spirit of Shankly to help out in the community. We've got the video because you and I went to where they were doing it in the church in Anfield. It is an old church, and it's now a pub, and we met some lovely people there, including Ricky Tomlinson and James Walsh from Star Sailor, and Asa Murphy did some crooning. I mean, it was just a really lovely afternoon, and people in the community were given a Christmas dinner there, and it was great. Yeah. In fact, I've written about it in the next fanzine. Check that out. It was really good. And I've got a video to play here of our experience, John. We're going to play that in a bit. Stephen, thanks for coming on this week. It's been brilliant with you. All the memories and all the history and finding out about different things.
It's been sensational. We'll have to have you on again because it's been fun to talk Liverpool with someone who knows.
Anytime.
Not that, I mean, to
anytime.
have two historians there as well, to have John as well, who's a historian of Liverpool Football Club. It's just been great. So where can we find out more about you and more about your books and download them and stuff?
Well, you can go on Amazon's probably as good as anything.
Yeah, and they're all on there?
They're all on there. Yeah, you can, I think not all in print, still in print. The Cop book is still in print. The Shankly biography is still in print. Some of the histories are now out of print. But yeah, there's lots of them on Amazon.
So check them out there. Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for coming on. We'll have to have you on again. John, just tell us about how you got involved with Spirit of Shankly. And I'm wearing the Spirit of Shankly T-shirt if Paul Kahn, if Paul Kahn is watching. This is the T-shirt he gave me when we were up there. So they didn't have yours. He didn't have one big enough, remember? He's going to send it to you.
I know this. I still haven't got it. So
okay.
And strangely enough, the badge they gave me fell off at the Newcastle game, and I lost it. And that was
so I'm holding up the Spirit of Shankly end of things for both of us. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I met Paul last August time, July time, and said, look, we want to put an event on. We've got Kevin Keegan lined up. We want to raise money for a good cause. Can you recommend anything? And he told us about the event. Say it's an annual event. This was the second event that they put on at the church. And Stephen probably remembers the church when it was probably a church. But now, of course, it's been converted. It's very unusual to see. It was real good place, really good area, good spot. Yeah. And all we did, we handed over the money. They organised the function itself. We had, like as you say, there also Pete Hooton was there, and the thing about the Spirit of Shankly, what people should notice, they came up. Their committee members all came up and served the people. So, yeah, and it all went to create a real good atmosphere, very friendly atmosphere. And let's not forget Sammy, who from the community basket, who we managed to raise a few bob for as well.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, this is the video. Before I play the video, this is the cover of the latest Red All Over the Land, if you haven't got it yet. This is what it looks like.
You won't have it yet. It's not printed yet.
Oh, is that right? It's not out yet. Okay, John. So this is a preview. This is from the future. This is dropped into us from the future, and I see we got Rishi Sunak there commenting on the half and half scarf problem. I see there as well on the front page. Yeah. Okay. So that's the cover of the. All right. So you can get that at redallovertheland.com. This is the video of us at the church. It's only about 11 minutes long, but it does sum up our day that we had up there on the 21st, wasn't it, John? 21st of December, just before Christmas.
Windy Thursday.
Yeah, it was windy. John Pearman, where are we?
We're at the church on Oakfield Road in Liverpool, and we're here today to present money to the local community, all raised by the efforts of the fans, and I emphasise that, by the fans at our Kevin Keegan night just down the road at Hotel Anfield on November the 19th, was it? And
I think it was the 18th,
the
wasn't
18th,
it? Yeah. It was a hell of a night. I can understand why.
Yeah, which was the anniversary of the birth of Red All Over the Land. We're here today to help these people enjoy the fruits of our labour.
Well, look who's just showed up at the church. It's the voice of Anfield, George Sefton. How are you?
In Anfield. Who would have thought that? Yeah, I've been here for ages, 12 hours I don't think. I'm fine, a bit windy. Yeah. I feel at home, obviously, although I don't live in Anfield. I've spent most of my life floating around this quarter of the world, and in fact my car could find its way on its own now.
How many years have you been the voice of Anfield?
Well, this is this is my 53rd season, I think. I'm starting to lose track. It was 71 I started, so we're coming up to 2024. If God spurs me, it'll be 53. There's a cut-off point at which I'll lose my marbles. I don't think it hasn't quite hit yet, but it won't be long. Who are you again?
I'm Graham Mack. Do you remember me from November the 18th? Because we had a night with Kevin Keegan at Hotel Anfield that John Pearman put on for All Over the Land. And it was quite fitting because he made his debut same day you did at Anfield.
Right,
yeah, so 2 Anfield debuts there.
Yes.
Who are you in my house? Let's have a look.
There he is. Is you?
Yeah. I haven't made my debut yet.
Haven't you?
Yeah.
Ricky Tomlinson, why are you here today?
I'll tell you why I'm here today, lads, because first and foremost, I'm a Liverpool supporter. I love the place. I know everyone who comes here. I'm a Scouser born and bred, and I love to be part of something that has given something back to the community. I love it.
You were here last year as well, weren't you?
I was here last year, yes.
So how important is this to you then?
Well, I come back to apologise for my behaviour last year. That's why I'm here, really, if anyone knows. No, I love it, lad. I love this area. I'm reared in this area. I was raised in this area 80 odd years ago, lad, and I love the people in it, and I love the places. I love Anfield. I was at Anfield for the last match. I love it.
The royal family always a big part of people's Christmas, a lot of people's Christmas. You're also on the telly this Christmas though, aren't you?
I've got loads on this year, kid. Me and Sue Johnson, Ricky and Sue take a trip or two. Then an hour documentary, and then a documentary about where my DNA came from, where I ended, and you will never believe where my story finishes. In Anfield football ground, that's all I can tell you.
When's it on?
Over the Christmas period, I don't know.
And it'll be on streaming as well. What channel is it? What
You've got to get the TV Times or the radio. I mean, we've got that much, you know, honestly, God, you know. I've got to keep working. Well, I don't want to. My wife said I've got to. So,
Ricky Tomlinson, thank you so much.
it's a pleasure, lad. Thank you.
Christmas dinner. We want to give something back to the community. Like a lot of people know Spirit of Shankly in relation to the big things we do in terms of taking on UEFA, getting all of the money back for the fans, like who went to the Paris debacle, getting the head of security sacked. He went on October the 1st, if you didn't know. But there are other things that Spirit of Shankly do which are more community focused. Like, so the church is a great partner of ours. We do things like, we have a music club, basically, like we have a guitar club, we have design club, we run a food pantry in Toxteth, feeding 15,000 people. Like, so we try to do lots of different things in the community. This night has been made, this day has been made possible as well because we've had a fantastic donation from Red All Over the Land. I don't know whether you know Red All Over the Land, but they're the last actual fanzine that's left. You know, basically everything's on the internet now, isn't it? Everybody just reads, like on the web, but basically John Pearman organised a Kevin Keegan night in Hotel Anfield, and he was great actually, by the way, Kevin Keegan. And we did a raffle, and we managed to get £4,000, and that's what's helped to pay for this. And also, anything that's left, any monies that we've got left will be going to fan support and food banks so that we can help people right across the city. So that's it. I'd just like to welcome John onto the stage because he's going to present us with this check. So.
Hope it doesn't bounce. Red All Over the Land is, although I originated from Leicestershire, I've always had roots in Liverpool because my mother was born in Bootle, in Berry Street in Bootle, and it was only when it was bombed in the war that she had to move and she met my dad down south. He was not into football, although his father played professionally at the turn of the other century. And I think he was on about £2 a week, so we were rich. We're not. But we've always tried to support the community through the fanzine, initially starting obviously with the Hillsborough families, then we worked with the HJC, who were absolutely fantastic with us, and God bless Jerry. And little bits we moved on. We did things with Parkinson's, and then the food banks and a few other things. But going back now to last August, I met up with Paul in a cafe near Central Library, and I told him we wanted to do something, but I didn't know where we could give the money to, because last year we did something and we did it to Abbey Lawns, which was just close to Hotel Anfield, just down the road from the ground. Unfortunately, that closed in January. I hope that's not an omen. But Paul said about doing something for the community here today, and this is what we set out to do. We didn't have a figure in mind. We'd have been happy to have paid for the turkeys or the crackers, but it went on and on and on. And a good friend of mine, Graham Mack, who's here, he hosted the show. We had George Sefton. I'm sure anybody who's ever been to Anfield knows George, the voice of Anfield for over 50 years. Vicky and Regan, we'll get there. What Regan does, honestly, is amazing. She creates cushions and such like things. She's got her own little workshop over in Birkenhead, near Camel Laird, and she does demonstrations. She's one fantastic person. She made us a cushion, and it raised £150 on the night. So give a little round of applause to this lady. What she's achieved in her life is a tribute to not only her, but to Mother Vicky as well. We've also invited along today Sammy, who's from the community shop, and they're now based at where the LSE studio is outside the ground, up on Stanley Park, and also on every Thursday at the church opposite the COP. So if you ever get the chance, drop in there, and we're hoping today to donate something to the church. But at the end of the day, it's all about coming here and helping the local community. That's what we set out to do. And so I can shut up and let you get back onto your dinner. I'll just give this to Paul before it folds and say thank you to Paul for his support. Thank you to everybody that's helped serve the food today. Seen some faces doing stuff I never thought I'd see them do. And yeah, it's brilliant. We're proud to be part of the Anfield community. We've been going for 28 years. I'd like to try and make it to 30. That'll be up to somebody else. But yeah, thank you very much for coming along.
I see the skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed days, dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. All the colors of the rainbow are pretty in the sky. They're also on the faces of the people passing by. As he fell, shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They really say, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll know much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah.
So it was a nice do, wasn't it, John?
It certainly was, and George got fed,
Yes.
and so did I think we both had the soup, and it was really good, and it went on. It went on after we left. We left at about 5, didn't we? And it was still going on there.
Still going then. Yeah,
So,
still going
yeah,
then.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was it.
That
That's
looked
what
really
we do.
good. Yeah, that looked really good. Well done, guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and they were nice people. And Spirit of Shankly worked so hard with everything they did, and then John, of course, worked really hard at the Kevin Keegan night. Some of those auction prizes were outstanding. I mean, Darwin Núñez signed boot, and what was the one that was even just in the raffle? There was a bit. What was it? Was it the signed shirt from '77?
Signed '77 shirt that we did the envelope raffle.
Yeah, and it was the European Cup shirt. Yeah, and it was signed by the, and that was in the raffle. That wasn't even in the auction. That was in the raffle. Yeah. So look out for the next. You'll have to come to the next one, Stephen.
Graham, you're pretty good at doing you're good at doing the auctions. I mean, you actually got one guy bidding against himself, didn't you? So that's threw an extra £50 in the pot. So
well, do get in touch with me next time, because I'll bring some of my books, and then you can auction them or put them in a raffle or whatever. Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
if you can't
keep you informed, and we'll invite you along to the next one.
Yeah, and if you can't make it to the next one and get one of those books from Stephen, you can always buy them. Check him out, Stephen F. Kelly. You'll find him there on Amazon. Everything's there. You can download them. You can have the hard copies posted to you. You can have all that. Make sure you get yourself signed up to Read All Over the Land. The latest issue will be out soon. This is what the cover looks like. And until then, everybody, remember, you'll never walk